We'd like to welcome you to Mission STL here on Truth Talk 630. I'm your host, Steve Moore, and again, want to thank you for taking your time to listen. Just to kind of let you know, if you didn't hear the first show last week, on Mission STL, we want to really talk with everyday people who answered God's call of ministering. But we'll talk about the ministries themselves a little bit, but we really want to focus in on how God moved people through the process and prepared them for their ministry, and how that had an effect on their relationship with Jesus, and also, how that really impacted their lives. And that's basically the premise of Mission STL right here on Truth Talk 630. Before we go any farther, I do have to tell you that this edition of Mission STL is brought to you by the Wood Agency, State Farm Insurance in Florissant, serving North County for nearly 50 years. And we thank all of our sponsors every week who sponsor our program. I want to jump back to our program from last week. The first program we had on, we had Louise Sardo, who's one of the directors of the Jefferson County Rescue Mission down in Peevely. And I just want to encourage everybody down that way or near that way that, they have the food pantry going on down there, and Louise talked about how this current economy has really just pummeled that whole area, and that they have so many more people coming in looking for help, and that their pantry is about bare. And with Thanksgiving getting ready to come up, if you can take some time to take a donation over there, that would be great. Also, I want to also mention I'm the president of the ministry called Missouri-Illinois Ministries for Inmate Support, also known as MIMIs. And we will have our information at the end of the program if you want to grab a pen and pencil to jot down our contact info. And also to let you know, one of the things we've done is we've provided some Bibles to the chapel at the Bonne Terre prison. And we're looking for donations for that. $5 will send one Bible. $100 will send 24 Bibles to the Bonne Terre prison, and they're definitely in need of that there. Okay, so we want to get into our program for tonight, and our guest this evening is Rick Hall, and he has a ministry, My Father's House Ministries, and Rick and I were just kind of at an event, and we met, and he has done quite a bit of prison ministry, just like me, and but he also has some other ministries on the internet and some web videos and all that. And so we're going to talk to Rick a little bit about all that he has going on My Father's House Ministries. Rick, we want to welcome you on Mission STL.
Thank you very much, Steve.
So tell us a little bit about what do you do with your ministry, My Father's House Ministries?
My Father's House Ministries, the main focus is to help the ex-offender group, and the three things the state of Missouri says that an ex-offender needs to get established back in society. He needs transportation, he needs a job and housing, and if he doesn't have that, statistics say that 85% will be locked up back in the system within 12 calendar months. So I have a ministry. I minister to the inmates at the St. Charles County Jail. I've been going in weekly and doing a hour Bible study for the past 7 years, and God has used me to reach over 570 inmates in the prayer of salvation. Also, the ones that come out of jail, sometimes they just have the clothes on their back. So, for example, I am registered with the Fish Organization in St. Charles, and I can go in and sign out clothes and household items to give to them. For example, shirts and pants and shoes and jackets. And I've gone out and purchased like underwear and socks with my own money, and it helps give somebody a start. Also, sometimes people need help with food or housing, and I don't have to run a food bank to be able to give people help. Mm-hmm. I can point them to agencies. There's a 2-1-1 program on the United Way website. So anybody can put in their zip code, and they can find out the name, address, and phone number of agencies that do provide housing, food, clothing, GED, drug counseling. so I can be a resource and point people to the agencies that can provide the help, and I don't have to run a housing unit or a food bank, and I can still give them help.
You know what I find interesting, because I knew you and I had done prison ministry for about the same amount of time, but it's almost identical. So
Yes.
we've been
Yes.
we went into the prison about the same time, just at different places. And that is the one thing that I have found is the biggest problem with inmates being released from prison, males and females both, is the resources. Because
Yes.
when they get out, now you're dealing with a lot of them in the county jail,
Yes.
which are generally 1 year or less sentences.
Yes.
But in the state prisons, if you've been in prison for 10 or 20 years, your whole neighborhood has changed since
Right.
you got out.
Right.
But still, the guys on the county level getting out, I'm sure they probably don't have a clue where to go.
Right. And the sad thing is, especially with the holidays coming up, because many of them have broken bridges, broken trust with their families, they're completely cut off. Family doesn't come and visit them. They don't accept their phone calls. They don't write them letters. And so you come up to Thanksgiving and Christmas, and those are extremely tough time for the inmate population. They feel isolated. But the nice thing that I found about ministering to the offender group is that they're not too busy to find out that what they're doing is not working and that they need help from God, and they're willing to listen. Everybody who comes out to my service is a volunteer. They have to contact the guard, and he opens the door and let them out. So it's not anything where anybody's forced. So there's a willingness to listen. And the message for them, it has to be accurate, it has to be simple, and it has to be practical. And if they see that you're genuine, that what you're speaking about is real, then they're willing to listen, they're willing to respond.
Okay, Rick, let's get in and talk about the ministry itself. How did the ministry come about?
Ministry came about because I wanted to have credibility, so I incorporated in the state of Missouri. I have a board of directors that I report to, and I wanted people to know that I'm credible, that I'm not going to take resources and run off to the Bahamas. And where I've been in St. Peter's and in Berkeley, I've registered with the communities as a home-based business, and I don't need them to operate. I just wanted the credibility. I'm approved by the federal government, the Internal Revenue, as a 501c3 nonprofit, so I can accept donations and give tax deductions. And so I wanted the credibility because a lot of things happen nowadays.
But I mean, the ministry itself of what you do with reaching out to the inmates, how did that all come about?
It came about because I was a success in the Air Force, lots of promotion, lots of opportunities, and my son ended up dropping out of high school, became a heroin addict and alcoholic, beat up 100 people, and he went to prison 4 times, and that process was absolutely frustrating for me. There's a ministry our church supports, Canaan Land Ministry in Montgomery, Alabama. I went down to visit them and had a 3-day visit to learn their processes. And within 7 days, a week, when I came back, my son checked himself into rehab to break the addictions off of his life. So what I made happen for the other ministry with my time and effort, God made happen for me. And it was just a match to help other people, to help other people's sons get back on the right track, to get hope, to get encouragement, to put their trust in Jesus. And that's what was the motivation for me.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know you sum that up all very well, but how long of a period of time were you talking about when your son first kind of like started getting into trouble, getting into drugs, and going through the prison? I mean, how long of a period of time was that?
It was roughly, he spent 4 years in prison, so there were periods where he was out for 6 months, but it was a lifestyle of broken promises and stealing and having the police come to the house and arrest him and having to take vacation time to go to the court and sit there for 3 hours, and then they would continue it, and I'd have to come back in another 30 or 40 days and sit there for another 3 or 4 hours. And just that whole process I found extremely frustrating. And out of that frustration, God brought the ministry and gave me a heart for the inmates, that you have to have a heart going in, or they won't listen to you. They won't respond.
Yeah, the one reason why, though, I asked that question that way is because I think there's a lot of people out there who may have a child who's getting in with the wrong crowd, out partying, getting into drugs and all that. And it was a tough way to go for you for how long of a period of time?
Probably about 6 years. Just to visit my son in Boonville, that's a 2.5 hour ride. Then you have a window of opportunity. If you're late, you don't get in.
Right.
You expect an hour visit, and then they have a random roll call, and you only get to see them for 30 minutes, and you're talking on a phone through glass, and it's frustrating. And then you have the drive back, and you have to buy gas and get food, and it eats up your day, but you do it because you love them.
Mm-hmm.
What helped me, I found a verse in Isaiah 59:21. God says that this is my covenant with you, Rick. My spirit that's in you, my word that's in your mouth, it will not depart from your mouth, nor from the mouth of your offspring, nor from the mouth of your offspring's offspring, for now and forever, says the Lord of hosts. So the same spirit and word that's in me will be in my son, and I prayed that for years and years and years, and God brought that to pass in the last 2 months.
Okay. All right, we've got about a minute before the break. I understand you were going out and visiting him to show him how much you love him and support him and that. Boy, I just can't imagine how much tears there also were on the front end of that 6 years.
Oh yes, there was a lot of anger. There were times that he tried to steal from us. We'd be watching TV, and he tried to take money out of my spouse's purse in the next room, and we would find needles in his room where he had been shooting up heroin, and then police reports and police coming to the house. It was absolutely frustrating for 6 or 7 years, but you stay with him because you love him. There's your child. Nothing changes the fact that they're your bone of your bone and flesh of your flesh. You don't like their behavior, but you love the person, and you try to work with them.
Right. Okay, we're going to get it ready to take it up to break, and because I want you to stay tuned, everybody, because this isn't just about a ministry that was born. There's some really good things that also came out with Rick's son. You're listening to Mission STL right here on Truth Talk 630.